Hi there, everyone. Scott and Lars back with our finale review and analysis for the Apothecary Diaries Season 2. Holy cow! What a way to wrap things up.
That was a very satisfying ending. I was so excited to get to this point because, there was so much building up to this final climax, and this episode wrapped up. Well, it wrapped up what it needed to, gave us hints onto what's going to happen next, but also, like, we got some very good emotional payoff because, very doom and gloom past couple episodes, and it's realized that, oh, us, the audience, everybody was tricked. We had the clues necessary, but we were tricked, and it takes a very talented author to pull that off sometimes.
Yeah. Going back to some of my theories. I'm like, man, I really want the kids to have been given the resurrection medicine,
Mm-hmm.
but I just don't know if that'd be the case because that's such a gamble. And lo and behold, that's what we get. And it was a gamble because Mao nearly put them in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. So with that being said, let's actually start going over the events of this episode so we can
Mm-hmm.
then spend the majority of our time diving into the meat of what we saw. So this episode begins with Mao and Jinshi in this royal carriage where Mao has got the bodies of the children of the heads of the Shei clan, and they're getting ready to bury them. Like I just said, Mao and Jinshi are sharing an interesting moment. Not quite intimate. It could go that way amongst the corpses. It's very awkward.
Mm-hmm.
It made it even more awkward when Mao finally breaks it off because she hears something, and one of the kids happens to still be alive. It's the resurrection medicine. And that's great for these kids. All of them, including Kyo, come back, though, to various degrees of health and remembrance of who they were, which is important for what is done with them afterwards. But
Mm-hmm.
we get to also see just that the brutal takedown of the Shei clan is still happening as people are being dragged out to the front of the palace or the front of the castle, being forced to open up about everything that they know. Some of them are also probably getting opened up themselves. It's pretty brutal. The end of the Shei clan is very much completed by the end of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the end for a lot of these characters, as we come to find out with how Jinji upholds his deal with Shisui. He promised that those who had died once before would be shown mercy, and so the children, along with Suide, are given new lives. Most of the kids are given to Audo to raise, and Audo is also given Suide as a servant to keep an eye over. And we're going to talk about that because that is a really, really cool twist. Kyo, on the other hand, they decide that it's better that he does not remember who he was. And so he is handed on over to the Verdigris house and Mao to keep an eye on him, which I'm just going to say that's a bold move to put a little rambunctious guy like that in a brothel. Things are going to happen eventually when this kid starts hitting puberty, I'm just going to say. But Mao is no longer a part of the royal entourage. She is sent out of the rear palace now that Lady Gyokyo has given birth successfully to a healthy baby boy. She will now be made the empress. Things are changing within royal politics and within the royal family. And Mao is happily not a part of any of that. She is back to doing what she loves to do, which is experimenting with poisons and the likes on herself. Her adopted father is still actually working over at the rear palace as a doctor. They do not want to give him up. And as she and Kyo are working together on her newest experiment, Jinshi shows up. The madame is very excited because Is this going to be the day that I get to sell off Mao Mao again? Crazy lady. But alas for her, none of that happens. Jinji and Mao Mao share yet another awkward moment where Jinji wants to come on romantically, and Mao Mao's just not having any of that. So he takes a bit of a nibble and a snuggle, and then decides to turn Mao Mao into his own personal lap pillow. But he also does wish to confess something to her, which we get a lot of bandying about, where again, Mao Mao absolutely does not want to know the full truth, as per the usual ways of Mao Mao. Because should Jinji completely and openly confess to her, there is no plausible deniability, and she will be truly stuck in whatever situation she has just gotten out of. So the two of them, in a way, are kind of happy to be a little bit vague about things, and then Kyo comes and interrupts Shinji, throws him a little bit for a loop, and that part of the story ends with the two of them there in the verdigris house, somewhat snuggled together as Mao Mao continues to concoct more poisons and experiments. And then we get a surprising and ultimately heartwarming conclusion to the season, where we get to see that Shisui is alive. Older, a little bit more ragged, longer hair, and she's trading the silver hairpin that Mao Mao had given to her for what appears to be a set of jade earrings carved into the form of locusts. And she is planning on taking a ship out to the west. She's going to go and explore the wide world. She is free. She's lost everything, but she is 100% free. And that is how the season ends.
Mm-hmm. I do have one correction to something you said.
Yes.
So
Correct away.
Suide wasn't brought into Aduo's house as a servant. They just brought her into the house just so they could keep an eye on her.
Oh, okay.
Because the major thing is she's related to the emperor, and so they wanted to make sure like that bloodline didn't go anywhere they didn't know about. Is a key point there, but it wasn't as a servant.
Okay, I misunderstood while watching. But yeah, no, she's definitely it's a form of house arrest one way or the other.
Well, yeah.
But better than being dead, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how Sweet A makes the most of a new lease on life.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like it was kind of an amazing view because like previous episode, Suide's whole world just shatters because like basically Shisui was the pretty much one of the only positive parts of her life, and she watches her sister get like full on murdered and then like falls off the side of a building. You could see at the start of this episode when she comes out of the stronghold how like depressed she is. It isn't until she hears that the kids are still alive that like she instantly jumps into action, and like you see any bit of relief on her face, even by towards the end of the episode when they're like catching us up where stuff is. Like she still looks really out of it, really like kind of shocked and depressed about the whole thing that's happened. And so like it's, if we do see her again, it's going to be interesting seeing her like how she's changed in that time.
But it's where she's been put is definitely not a bad place. We know, thanks to season 1, that Aodo is a very caring woman and very considerate. And also with her sense of free-spiritedness, is probably not a bad person to be under house arrest with. I think that she'll end up being far more accommodating to Sweet A and also to the children. And this is just honestly beautiful for her because she never had the chance to raise her child. Whether her child died or was kidnapped and brought over to the Empress, we still don't know for certain. But in either case, Aodo could never have children. And so now she is given that chance.
Right.
And I just think that's so awesome.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a really touching part of this, and it's like part of what makes this whole last episode feel so not just satisfying, but like wholesome at the same time. We've got the kids coming back. We've got like Oduo getting kind of a happy ending here. We get like surprise Shisui's alive. Also like that whole last scene with Mao and Jinshi, which like we need to go into because it's it's a very nice reset on their relationship, and it's I feel like they're going to be able to actually develop a better relationship from here on, just from what we're seeing
Yeah.
like at the end of this episode.
Yeah, and this episode is nice because like this is what this is. And I've brought this up before, I'll bring it up again. Like the only happy ending that we had seen thus far, like unequivocally happy
Mm-hmm.
ending, was for Princess Fuyo. That's
Right.
back in episode 3 of season 1. And now we see a lot of happy endings and happy beginnings for a
Mm-hmm.
lot of characters that are that yes, there's a lot of tragedy mixed into it, but it is a happy ending and a happy beginning into the sense that these characters can start fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And so since you brought up Mao and Jinji, yeah, let's talk about that. And let me already just address the elephant in the room for some people, where yes, it is awkward. Jinji was coming on to Mao kind of hard. I'm not here to convince people that you should absolutely love Jinji 100% and that he did nothing wrong, but rather understanding the context of where the story is happening, when it is
Mm-hmm.
happening, and everything. Like, this isn't an age and time where if a nobleman came into a brothel and is like, I'm going to take that woman, who's going to say no?
Right.
And and Jinji does respect the fact that Mao is not reciprocating him coming on. Yes, he releases some of his frustration by biting her. Okay, we already know that Jinji is not the best when it comes to this kind of stuff. But like in consideration of everything else that could happen, this
Mm-hmm.
is really good. And Mao as well. Like it's just the way that we see their relationship going. Jinji is like, okay, then I fine. We're both going to be vague about this, and I'm fine with that. And one of the ways that we can actually see that their relationship has changed for the better is that Jinji is not freaking out and trying to slap that poison out of her hands. He's come to trust Mao and accept that this is just part of who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's comfortable with that. Comfortable enough that he's willing to curl up on her lap. This isn't just him being like, well, if I can't have my goodies, at least I'll have my lap pillow. No, this is symbolic of how he has become very comfortable with Mao and whatever their relationship has now transformed
Mm-hmm.
into.
I love the end of this so much. Like there's so much that they can move into from here. Now that like they can be fully honest with each other. I mean, Mama was pretty well, mostly honest from
Mostly
the
honest.
beginning. Like we all remember the scene where like Jinshi's trying to catch anybody in the rear palace who can read, and she tries to pretend not to. But like at this point, he can trust Mao.
Mm-hmm.
He can trust that she's crazy too. Um, that's
Yes.
just part of her character. Um, but like they're actually able to sit down like from an honest location and go from there. I mean, it's gonna have its troubles. There's gonna be issues there, and I think a big one is going to be like the fact that there's one potentially two other like princes being born, and Jinshi just went off to war, won, and like his like the view of him from of the like populace is probably really positive right now. So like there's gonna be some potential dangers involved with that, and Mao Mao's already right there in like the middle of it. There's no gonna be real separating them from this point, because like if somebody's able to figure it out that they can get to him through Mao Mao, they'll do it.
Oh yeah, and I do want to add on more to what he said there about like
Mm,
the political turmoil that's
yeah,
right now brewing at the end of the season. But one thing I also do want to point out is that I love how Mao Mao regards his scar,
yeah, that's a
and
very fun scene.
it's a fantastic scene, and I'm not sure how the Chinese traditionally viewed scars, but I
Uh-huh.
do know that for the Japanese, scars were not something that you were necessarily supposed to be proud of. Depended on the situation, but like normally you didn't want to get scars to mar your fantastic beauty or masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
Especially you didn't want a scar on the back because that meant you were a coward. But a scar could be something that was seen as a sign of weakness or a marring of
Right.
your beauty. For Jinji, who is seen as a very beautiful man, a scar seems it's like, oh, what a waste of a good man. And he didn't even necessarily need to lead from the front. He could have led differently if he wished. People are going to criticize Jinshi for harming his beautiful face.
Mm-hmm.
Mao Mao recognizes it as a sign of leadership, a sign of self-sacrifice, and if she now knows the story about his conversation with Shisui, this also is a sign of his mercy, and that to her says this is a man who is more than just a pretty face. He is not shallow. He's a complex individual who she has
Mm-hmm.
learned to trust. And she even says, like, you could use with a few more scars, which I don't think that means go get yourself carved up, Jinshi,
Well, yeah,
but but it's her way of accepting something that other people might not.
which is a great part of Mama's character, because like she's able to see past a lot of the like the beauty and the appearance of people and actually see to like the heart of the matter. And it's fun seeing a character like that, because there's so many other characters that are so super shallow, and it's become like ingrained in the psyche of a lot of like media and like the waves that they create. And so like even
Mm-hmm.
though yeah, we do have a story where yeah, Jinshi's super attractive and Mama can be pretty attractive when she wants to be. Um that's not what the point of the story is.
Exactly. Yeah, there this is a fan and to have a crowned prince and an apothecary hanging out in a brothel
Well,
and
in
and just be so comfortable with each other
mm-hmm,
is a fantastic beautiful moment that should not be understated.
right. But my concern is what's going to happen because of that class difference?
Mhm.
Because that is a very valid and very and I feel like it's one of the more obvious like consequences of their relationship is like, okay, how do you overcome that? Because like
Yeah.
it would be one thing if she were one of the top courtesans at the verdigris house, because like they sell for such a high price, they have such a high like popularity and standing in the community that okay, we could that an argument could be made for that. But
Mhm.
the apothecary
Yeah.
at the verdigris out like that lives in the red light district basically, there's there's gonna be hurdles to go over for that. But like we also have to look at okay, who like we still have a lot of unanswered questions, but like who from this point on is still gonna be like against Jinshi in some form or another.
Mhm.
And I think one of them um going forward, and I haven't read far enough ahead I'm just guessing, and from like little bits and pieces I've heard from other fans, I think one person that may be slightly an enemy from here on is Lady Gyokyo,
Yeah.
and possibly Li Shu.
Lishu or Liwa?
Liwa, the other one having the baby.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be Lady Liwa. Because I'm like, oh man, if Lady Lishu becomes an enemy, then things have really turned
Okay,
dark.
okay. I got them mixed up. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
it's so easy to get them mixed up.
Yeah, but
Uh
like you get the point because like they want it, like if they're gonna accelerate up into location of Empress Dowager, like the mother of the emperor, the like the wife of the emperor. You get the idea. The actual empress. They're gonna
yes.
go up into that spot. Then like there's gonna be a power struggle, and it's all based off of whose son is the next in line.
Mhm.
And in this case, I think it's pointing towards Lady Gyokyo, but because of everything that's going on that like Jinchi just accomplished, there could be people trying to push him into that position too.
Exactly. And you brought up what I said, like this is the political turmoil that's boiling in the
Mm-hmm.
background. We already know what kind of vindictiveness is brewed in the rear palace when the women are jealous of each other,
Mm-hmm.
when there's rivalries. This goes beyond petty rivalries and who gets to have a night with the emperor. This is now for all the points, for all the eggs, for whatever it is that we're competing for. This is for the throne. And Lady Gyokyo has won, but only by a few months.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Lady Liwa gives birth to a son, that son becomes another claimant to the throne. Granted, he will have a weaker claim than Gyokyo's son and Jinshi, but he still becomes a rival, and others will look to him as a potential dark horse.
Mm-hmm.
This actually puts Lady Liwa and her entire household in a very dangerous situation because the dark horse people bet on the dark horse because sometimes the dark horse pays off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that people who wish to secure their position of power will definitely not want to have around. We know that Lady Gyokyo is a very intelligent woman and she is very capable. She is very charismatic. She does not have the immediate connections into the palace as someone like Lady Liwa does, who is
Mm-hmm.
more who her family is centralized within the capital. Lady Gyokyo is from a foreign family. But the thing is this is that while that might make her seem a little bit less powerful in the immediate, this means that she's going to be even more cunning and vicious when she has to be in order to maintain her son's claim to the throne and
Mm-hmm.
her position in the palace. And let's not forget her daughter,
Mm-hmm.
because people will aim for the daughter to get to the mother or to the brother.
Right.
Things are going to heat up. And we know that Jinji does not want the throne. But like as you said, he's the hero. He's the face of the hour. And
Mm-hmm.
another thing to point out is this: he's the one who's managing the Shei clan holdings.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who's appointing the new nobles. He's the one who's ensuring that the people of that territory aren't obliterated as a part of reprisals. Which means then that if he does his job well and puts good bureaucrats and stewards into that region, he will have won the affection of the largest province, even if
Right.
he himself doesn't own it. They
Right.
will look to him as their savior. This puts him in such a powerful position if he wishes to act.
I do need to say though, it's a very powerful position, but if something goes wrong there, he's also in a very likely place to take a fall.
Yes. Yep.
Because like if something gets mismanaged, something like bad happens, then his entire reputation just tanks.
Mm-hmm.
And with something I know that's going on that's been hinted at, there is that risk already present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, Jinji is not out of the woods. In fact, Jinji is now committed to
Mm-hmm.
this course. And it's not and he himself is not necessarily gunning for the throne. But the thing is that he is now inexcapably linked to the runnings of the empire and to the doings of the royal family. He cannot escape into his role as the eunuch of the rear palace.
Mm-hmm.
He is now committed, which means he's got to play the game. He's this country's version of the Game of Thrones. He's in it now, and
Mm-hmm.
whether he wants to be or not, he is one of the most powerful players. And so that means that people who don't want him there are going to gun for him. People who want to hurt the emperor are going to gun for him. People who wish to elevate the other concubines in their families are going to gun for him. Which, coming back to the whole thing with Mao Mao, makes sense why he's not like, Mao Mao, you were going to come back with me. Uh, but at the same time, Mao Mao is not safe over in the red light district. It doesn't take much for someone, as you said, to make that connection. Be like, yes, why don't we just get rid of that little toy of yours?
We've got a good jumping off place for even more drama, and we do know that it's been confirmed we're getting a season 3. So
So
we've got
exciting.
even more coming down the line. And like I said before, there's been groundwork already done for what's going to be going on, even just barely at the start of season 3.
Mm-hmm.
And like we're going to see just a few like vague hints of what's going to happen, but we're going to see more of the world they're in, and
Oh, that's
we're going
exciting.
to learn more about Lady Gyokyo. We're going to learn more about Mao Mao, and we're probably going to learn more about the envoys as well. So,
Yeah, because that's still a loose thread.
yep.
There, there is a wrapped up thread that we haven't mentioned yet. And I'm sad
Mm.
for skipping it during the breakdown of the review. But Xiaolan,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was that was it's a brief moment, but that I admit I almost got choked up watching it.
It's very
Because
bittersweet.
it's so bittersweet because Xiaolan loved Mao Mao and Shisui so much, and they were both gone when her contract ran out. And thanks to Shisui helping her out, she managed to land a contract which allowed her to get good employment with a noble
Mm-hmm.
woman. Fantastic. And it's probably going to be a positive one because she won so much favor in the Bath area. So that's great for her, but her best friends have gone missing. So she wrote two letters, one to Mao Mao, one to Shisui.
Mm-hmm.
And the one to Mao Mao, yeah, it's just really bittersweet because Mao Mao is the one who helped her learn how to write and to read. She wishes that they could still be there. She's got good news, and she's like, I wish that we could all enjoy nice ice treats together sometime. You, me, and Shisui, and Mao Mao has the letter to Shisui. And what choked me up is that Mao Mao doesn't open that letter.
Mm-hmm.
She leaves that closed because that's for Shisui.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's a good friend moment. And that also just goes to show what that dynamic trio relationship meant
Mm-hmm.
to really all of them. Like we get in that moment, we get the feeling of just how genuine it was, even though Lulan was lying under the guise of Shisui while they were hanging out.
Oh, such a good episode. I'm excited to see what's going on, but I'm also very happy with where this went.
Same here. If there's one thing to wrap everything up on, it's a note that we were discussing before recording, which is like how difficult it is to pull off so many parallel stories
Mm-hmm.
within any one given story,
Yeah.
and make it happen organically. So much of what happened this season, when we look back at this season, there's so much that was going on back in season one that was kind of on the periphery or tangentially, or even
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it was addressed directly, but that paid off in this season. But it didn't all pay off at once. It came as it needed. It was organic. And then other things, as you said, are setting up what's going to happen in the next season. And this is very difficult to do. This is something that does require a lot of forward thinking on your part as a writer, lots
Mm-hmm.
of plotting, and resisting the temptation to wrap up everything all at once. Brandon Sanderson, for his Stormlight Archive series, likes to wrap up most things all at once, give you that huge catharsis and reveal, and then reveal that something that's been happening in the background. Oh, now this comes out. And it makes sense because of like one or two little things that happen in the book. They're like, oh,
Right.
now that makes sense. Whereas with the Apothecary Diaries, it's been more than one or two little things. It's been all kinds of things that have been working and flowing together to build these different story moments. So, with that being said, everyone, thank you for joining us on this season's worth of reviews and analyses for the Apothecary Diaries. I think that before the next season comes out, we might have like one or two other videos just to enjoy certain aspects of the
Mm-hmm.
story in general, because there's so much to talk about.
Right.
But we do want to hear from you in the comments, your thoughts, your opinions of this episode, of the season in general. Let us know. Let us know what's going on in your head. Did this episode make you choke up? Did it not? And if you'd like to support the work that we do here at Camille's Harem, subscribe if you haven't already done so. It's free, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you would like to support us financially, you can check out the books that we've published. Links for them are in the description below. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey through the Apothecary Diaries. And until the next video, y'all, choose.
Okini.